Where we left off was with the outline, and I want to walk you through a little bit of my outline and how I came up um, with how I filled in my outline using my annotated bibliography. So, as you know, we've started by doing some research. We've started with looking at that research question. So, I want to keep my research question at the top, and I want to keep my original research question. Now, I'm gonna add some caveats here in a minute to show you that I did have to modify my question a little bit at this juncture. And I'll talk a little bit about if I were writing a full paper, as I am writing a full paper, how I might need to go and do more research and some other things that are going to prevail in a more complex version of this assignment. But I do want to be sure that we're getting the basics. So if you remember, I'm going to zoom out here. Um, there is a model. The model is not as full as this one because I've been working on this afternoon and I've added some things. And in the next video, I'm going to add the rest of the things. So what I've done is I had my research question. I had a blank claim. I had blank evidence, blank evidence, blank evidence. And I had those blank warrant, blank warrant, blank warrant. We're going to work on warrants in the next video. So what I want to focus on today is this claim and this evidence. So if you notice the claim, we're going to put a pin in that for a minute because that's actually the last thing that I wrote in this document. The first thing that I did was the evidence. So what I'm going to do, if you remember, my question was, why are students placed in online or distance learning programs as opposed to traditional classrooms? Are students who are using online programs receiving an equal education to students who receive traditional classroom education? So that's my question. I've gone and done my research. We talked about that. We're finished with the initial research phase. And so I put together my annotated bibliography. Well, now I've made sure I've read through these articles, right? And as I read through the articles, I said, well, based on the information that I have now, I want to pull out a key piece of evidence that really helps to answer my question. And so you're going to see what I did is, oh, that's my email, everybody. What I did was to go to my first piece of evidence. And I said, okay, so I want to pull a piece of evidence from a source. And so I went down as I was reading these, and my first piece of evidence came from this article by Murphy. And this article was particularly interesting because it compared whether the teacher needed to be a part of the process, if we could do all video or whether it needed some kind of physical teacher, whether it could be asynchronous. Everything is done at the attention of the student. You can watch videos whenever you want, kind of what we're experiencing right now. Or should it be synchronous? Should there be specific times of a day where you're getting specific information? So what this study found was that students had a more positive impact with online education as long as there was some kind of teacher time. As long as there was some kind of teacher instruction going on, then it didn't really matter if you were receiving a face-to-face teacher instruction or if it was online. So studies suggest that online education is best when supplemented by a teacher. And then I went ahead and put Murphy, right, because Murphy is the first piece of information from that source. Okay, so that was just that easy. And then I went ahead and populated one of these is from Williams. Williams is down here. Williams did a study on PE, and they found that students liked an online PE class more than a face-to-face PE class, which is kind of interesting. So I went ahead and put that, right? Students had more positive feedback for an online PE class than a face-to-face one. And then this last piece of information came from Kennedy, which is up at the top, I think. And it talks about standards, how all these major organizations like ISTE, which is a major organization, and the NEA, which is a major organization, agreed that similar standards for how we teach in the classroom and how we teach online, as long as they're adopted, and all 50 states have adopted those standards, then we pretty much are teaching the same things, and that would be equal. So to my surprise, I was really going to come in here thinking that I was going to find more information on online education not being as strong. But my evidence all says otherwise. So my claim is going to follow my evidence, right? Online education can be considered equal to traditional face-to-face education as long as key factors are the same. So, of course, when I talk about that, that means that the teaching part has to be in it. It also means that the standards part has to be in it. So that's what my warrants are going to come in originally. Now, one problem that I have is that I didn't get this question answered. Why are some students placed online or some students placed in the classroom? And so for the purposes of this assignment, this is a short English 2 sophomore year of high school assignment. I'm going to go ahead and erase that question because this one is more important. This is where all my research led to, and I'm not going to answer that other question. However, since I'm in a doctoral class, I can't erase that question. So I am going to keep it for me. And I'm going to keep doing research. I actually have to do something like 40 different sources to start making my arguments a little more complex. But that's way far away from what you guys are focused on. Again, you're going to need that annotated bibliography handy because you are pulling information from that annotated bibliography. Namely, this is where your information's coming from. And then this right here, this first piece of information, is where the citation is coming from. And as we talked about with fake news and everything else, it's really important that we understand where this information is coming from and that you can link to that really, really easily. And this is the proper way to do it. Okay, so we will talk about warrants next time. But for now, as you're filling out that outline, these are the key pieces that you want to have in: evidence and claim.